Hey YouTubers, it's Charlie. This is going to be my Arrow episode 12 video. Just careful for spoilers if you haven't seen it. There were some really big reveals. It was all about introducing the calculator, and it was part one of a two-part episode. So all the big questions that you had, like the really big ones, will be answered next week. I actually didn't realize that going into this episode, so when they had the big twist at the end, I was like, wait, this feels like they're giving us half the story. So I checked the list, and yes, like all the characters from this episode will be in next week's episode. But speaking of which, Colton Haynes, probably best performance in the episode. It was very Fault in Our Stars. Just careful for spoilers from that movie if you haven't seen it or if you haven't read that book. It's this really tragic love story about two teens dying from different diseases. They find each other, fall in love. It's this really heartbreaking story. So anytime Roy was on screen with Thea and she was coughing like she's gonna die, that's pretty much what it was. It was Fault in Our Stars. Well, let's do top 5 WTF, then I'll explain any Easter eggs that don't really make it into my list. Starting with number 5, Nyssa escapes and tries to find the Lotus. Shocking twist, the Lotus is actually a device meant to counter the effects of the Lazarus Pit, developed by the Crescent Order, which is now who Katana is working with. Secret organization central to Japan, in the way that the League of Assassins is central to Nanda Parbat. Always happy to see Katana back. No, I don't really know what they're going to do with her character in the future if all the movie Suicide Squad characters are killing off their TV counterparts, unofficially. But I thought they did a good job of acknowledging what happened during Season 3 in a really brief turn of phrase. They almost didn't even need that. They kind of accomplished that with the long look. Like, yeah, some shit happened last season, my husband died, but I found a new purpose. So now to number 4 WTF, Roy is back, and he is mysteriously stealing technology. Oliver has to shoot him in order for them to take him in. That was a big win for Felicity. She was the one that knew that something was happening with Roy. So they did that really awesome reveal where she's like, wait, Oliver, and then they switch to his perspective so you can't hear Felicity speak, but he's like, all right, got it, shoots him, bam, you think he's dead. They'd already posted the clip of Roy waking up in the new Arrow cave, or the Foundry, whatever you want to call it. So yes, I think Arrow's doing a better job of misdirecting us with, big WTF moments like Oliver, oh my god, he killed Roy. But we'll address that again in a second because I kind of think that's what's going on with Thea's storyline. Number 3 WTF, Roy explains the calculator. So here's the deal, the calculator is kind of like an evil Felicity, an evil version of Oracle, the Barbara Gordon Oracle in the comics. He's mostly known as a Birds of Prey villain. He kind of does for villains what Felicity does for Team Arrow, just, hacker extraordinaire, anything that you might need from the digital realm. So he learns about Roy, uses him to get all the tech he needs from Star City. So if everyone were to find out that Roy was not the Arrow originally, that would mean that the Arrow is still out there and they would turn their attention to Green Arrow. They'd be like, oh, you're the guy. This guy took the fall for you. What does that remind you of? Dark Knight Rises, and Bane revealing that Batman did not kill all those people. Same deal. It would just undo a lot of good work that they had done. You may have picked up on it on his speech with Oliver, but Roy talks to Oliver about like, hey man, how do you take the weight of the world on your shoulders? How do you deal with all this responsibility? Trying to take the blame for everything. And that kind of connects with the flashback arc. So number 3 WTF, flashback Oliver starts hallucinating Shadow. And it is Shadow, but she tells him, you're imagining me. The only way out is through your own darkness. But she helps him to realize that he's being chained down by his guilt. That is his darkness. The title of the episode is Unchained, so naturally he confesses to the woman that he saved, I killed your brother, so he's unchaining himself from his guilt. Number 2 WTF, Thea's bloodlust is eventually going to kill her. Merlin had this great explainer for balancing the scales. It was a great metaphor. Awesome Merlin episode. He's getting all those great dad moments that Joe West got on The Flash this week. So Merlin is like the Joe West of Arrow this week, even though he's a pretty evil character. Sometimes the greatest act of love is no act at all. So the twist is that Nyssa will give Oliver what he needs to save Thea, but he has to kill Merlin. So they're going to follow up on that in next week's episode. The episode is literally titled Sins of the Father. It's all about everyone's daddy issues and trying to resolve those. Find me a mainstream comic book character that does not have daddy issues on some level. What about Thea though? Is she the one that's in the grave? This really seems like it's pushing her into that grave. She doesn't have long to live in that coma. She's on the edge of death. The last flash forward we had was I think 4 months into the future. It might have been 3 months, which seems a little too long based on the way the nurse made it seem. The nurse made it seem like she had a couple of days to live, which makes me think that they will find a way to save her without killing Merlin. That just feels like the twist. Like they want you to think that Thea's gonna die. I feel like they're doing a better job at misdirecting us than say like in season 3 when they wanted us to believe that Oliver was dead. That was one of the biggest wastes of Lazarus Pit use that they could have made. So yeah, Thea's gonna die, they're not lying about that, but I feel like they're doing a better job of making us wonder how they're going to fix the situation and who's gonna be in that grave. I still feel like it's gonna be someone else. It just feels like they're laying on the Thea stuff way too thick this week. Like all of a sudden, bam, she's down. And oh, she's not just down, she's gonna die in a couple days. Anytime something feels way too obvious, it probably is. Think about it this way, if they put Thea in the grave, then what is the whole point of Oliver resurrecting her last season? That was the entire reason for the major arc of season 3. So they're not gonna do something that's gonna throw that under the bus. They're not gonna completely negate the season 3 arc. Because why would you save her just to put her back in the grave? But they are going to have some fun making you wonder how they're going to fix this situation. That's really what the more hopeful DC shows are about, like the ones that are a little bit lighter. Like, yeah, people can die, but the hero always finds a way. Superman always finds a way. That's why everyone was so upset when he snapped Zod's neck at the end of Man of Steel. It's like, Superman is the guy that always finds a way to not kill someone. But that's just my takeaway based on the information they've presented. Now, they could give us a bunch of new information next week that'll make us think that someone else is going to die, or they could make Thea even worse. So it just remains to be seen. So keep your options open. Don't completely lock yourself down to any one theory. Number 1 WTF though, this is a little bit more fun. Felicity turns around to say hello to her father. Surprise, surprise, it's the calculator. The weird thing is that when they announced that the actor was going to play the calculator on the show, they also said that he was going to be Felicity's father. So yeah, it was a great moment to end on, but they had already kind of tipped their hat to what the relationship was going to be between him and Felicity. And they kind of color schemed the entire episode blue, which was a nice homage to Calculator's character in the comics. And you could kind of tell when they started going up against each other, Felicity versus Calculator. The catty banter that the Calculator had, like the quippy one-liners, sounded very similar to the way that Felicity talks whenever she's going after someone. So like father, like daughter. Now we know he wants the battery, but we don't know if he knows that Felicity was the person he was going up against. When they fought the first time, I don't think he had figured it out, but he might have figured it out in between them blowing up the factory, disabling his bomb, and then him showing up at that presentation. So in this moment, neither one of them knows who each other is because they're both modulating their voices, they're very good at masking their identities, but in this moment here, I think he knows Felicity is the person who stopped him. So he's just gonna have a little bit of fun with that. Isn't she something? Just the way he said that line is like, yeah, I know that she is the one who stopped me, but she has the tech I need, so I'm gonna have a little bit of fun here playing the dad card. So much fun. And like I said, next week's episode called The Sins of the Father, gonna be all about resolving this Felicity Calculator arc. No way they're gonna kill him off. It's just too much fun for Felicity's character to have a dad that's evil. It's very different from the Thea-Merlin relationship because Merlin kind of hasn't been that much of a villain character. I think Calculator will be more overtly bad, and it'll be really fun to see how Felicity deals with this. But let me know in the comments, what did you think about the Calculator so far? Obviously, he's going to be back in next week's episode. He'll be much bigger, so we'll get more Felicity versus Calculator scenes, which were a lot of fun. But I feel like the best stuff in the episode were Roy's scenes. Like, what did you think of Roy? I feel like he had more scenes in this episode than in all of season 1 and 2 combined. Colton's moving up in the world. Everybody give him a high five. Real quick reminder too, I almost forgot. There is a new round of the reverse flash ring giveaway going on. I'll announce the winner when I post my Legends of Tomorrow video. All you have to do to enter is be a subscriber and leave a comment on this video. You don't have to say you're ending the giveaway. You can just leave any kind of comment you want. Now, they did announce there's going to be a Supergirl Flash crossover. I'll do a video for that next explaining how it's going to work, what we know about it so far. It'll be episode 18 of Supergirl. Flash will be going on Supergirl. So while you guys wait for that to post, you can click here for last night's episode of The Flash. It was one of the best episodes this season so far. I feel like The Flash has been getting better and better with each episode. And you can click here for my Deadpool boobs video. Just so much fun. Deadpool is having way too much fun right now. Everybody, let's high five. I'll see you guys tonight.